howdy race fans. Just caught me reading up on old Talladega program, getting ready for this weekend. Howdy race fans, welcome to my little show about racing I like to call In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott. And as always, In the Pits comes to you here on YouTube, usually on Wednesdays, but this time on Tuesday because I'm in a hurry. It comes to you, when I feel like it, because I have no sponsor to try to tell me what I should do. As you know, race fans, that's my wife's job. Okay, last Friday was practice for both Xfinity and Sprint Cup there at Kansas Speedway. Then came Cup qualifying later in the afternoon, which was bittersweet for Brad Keselowski, who won the pole but did not get first pit choice because of an accumulation of pre-race tech infractions over the past couple of races there. And because the crew chiefs of both the number 2 Miller Light Ford and the number 14 Bass Pro Shops Tracker Mobile 1 Chevy had both received 4 written warnings each about cars not passing the pre-race inspection there on the first time. Those two teams were not allowed to pick pit stalls until all other teams had picked, regardless of how they qualified. So, despite being on the pole, Keselowski did not get first and best pit choice. This would come into play during the race on Sunday. And, of course, that choice went to Cousin Carl. Dale Earnhardt Jr. qualified in the mid-teens, having missed advancing to the last round of 12 qualifiers there. Next up, after qualifying, was the ARCA season finale. But before the race, the championship was virtually bestowed upon Grant Enfinger, who only had to start the race in order to be the 2015 ARCA champion. Also, the 2015 ARCA Rookie of the Year was awarded to young Kyle Weatherman. But as Bob Dylan sang, you don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. I don't have any idea how that applies here, but I've always wanted to say it. Okay, Xfinity regular driver there, Daniel Suarez, was on the pole for the 99-lap ARCA contest at Kansas. And he was in a Venturi Motorsports number 55. Of course, it had his regular Arias sponsorship there. And he was there because he needed more seat time there at the Kansas Speedway to help the young Mexicans' Xfinity effort. Brandon Jones, the teammate of Suarez for the evening, blew a tire and hit the wall about a third the way into the race in a Menards number 25 Venturini Motorsports Camry. Brandon Jones will be driving a Richard Childress Racing Camaro next season in the Xfinity Series, so watch for that next year. Then Daniel Suarez hit another team's tire on his left front side there on pit row, which caused his Camry some damage. He was still able to run up front some, but his evening ended in the wall with his own blown tire as the middle of the race came to a close with the caution that was brought out by Suarez. After a long caution period, the number 78 Chevy Impala of part-time ARCA driver Mason Mitchell led the field back to green beside John West Townley in the number 88 Zaxby's Chicken Impala. Townley was able to catch Mitchell because he had a really great restart, and he grabbed the lead with only 23 laps to go. Townley and Mitchell battled cleanly but very, very hard for those laps until Ken Schrader's driver in the number 52 Federated Auto Parts Camry, Matt Tiff, brought out a caution with a blown engine or something. I forget exactly what, but that caution was with 14 laps to go. So Townley and Mitchell led the remaining cars to green for a 10-lap shootout. And Mitchell, on his older tires, got ahead of Townley, whose tires weren't quite as old. Then after a few laps, Townley's tires just went off so badly, he wound up finishing 5th, while the 2015 Rookie of the Year there, Kyle Weatherman, was 2nd, and the 2015 ARCA champion, Grant Enfinger of Fairhope, Alabama, finished 3rd. 4th was Roush Xfinity driver Ryan Reed in the number 38 Lilly Ford Fusion. Did I happen to mention that the champion is my favorite ARCA driver from Alabama, Grant Enfinger, in a Chevy Impala? Yes, and he's got him a new sponsorship. It's a tool company called Champion, which is very appropriate. Wayne Self from Austin, Texas, finished 2nd in the points because of a really bad day by the guy who was 2nd in points, Josh Williams, who fell to 3rd after wrecking into the wall there at Kansas. The next ARCA race will open Speed Weeks in 2016 at Daytona, and at that time they will have a new tire supplier. Yes, they mentioned at the last race that Hoosier will be going away and General Tire will become ARCA's sole tire supplier. General Tires also makes Continental tires, and they make race tires for a road series called Tudor Road Series. So they have some experience in racing tires. So we look forward to see what that happens with ARCA next year at Speed Weeks at Daytona. Okay, Saturday started with a little bit of Sprint Cup practice. Then we made a trip to the veterinarian to keep my cat happy. But we got back in time to see the end of Xfinity qualifying and a little more Cup practice. Matt Kenseth was the quickest in Xfinity qualifying, with the leader in Xfinity driver points, Chris Buescher, beside him. The Toad was in the row number 2 in his number 54 Monster Mobile and provided most of the competition for Kenseth later in the 300-mile race. In Cup practices, Dale Jr. did better in first practice than he did in second, but it did not look very promising for Sunday. Oh, Sterling. The Xfinity race Saturday afternoon was a Joe Gibbs racing show there. Matt Kenseth led from the pole for the first half of the race with a very strong Camry, and the Toad was busy with problems like speeding on pit row and other things like that, which kept him back during the first half. When the Toad finally got his act together in the second half of the race, he challenged Matt for the lead and took it. Then the Toad rode that lead to the end of the race. Matt Kenseth finished second, challenging the Toad the whole way. Joker Logano was third in a Penske Mustang. The highest Xfinity regular at Kansas was a favorite of mine, Ty Dillon, in the Richard Childress Racing number 3 Camaro. The remainder of the top 7 in driver points finished in the top 12. So while Chris Buescher maintains his lead, finishing 6th, his 3 main challengers, Chase Elliott, Ty Dillon, and Reagan Smith, are all within a race of the lead with 3 races to go. This ain't over yet. Not by a long shot, race fans. If Buescher has a bad day, kind of like, say, Sprint Cup champion drivers Jimmy Johnson had with a part failure at Dover, or Matt Kenseth's been having with getting eliminated by spins and crashes, or even Chris's one of his closest competition there, Ty Dillon, who is still trying to recover from a bad crash there at Dover when his tire went down. Buescher could still lose points, his points padding that he has and now enjoys, by any of those things happening to him. So watch the next couple of races, folks. It's going to be a thrilling finale to the Xfinity series. Their next race is at Texas in November. Oh, it was the 75th Xfinity Nationwide Busch Series win for the Toad. Big whoop. Okay. During the 2-weekend hiatus for the Xfinity Series, the Camping World Truck Series will fill in next Saturday at Talladega, woo, and the following weekend at Martinsville. That's always a good race. After the Xfinity race, I watched the remainder of the Alabama and Texas A&M college football game. Roll Tide. Okay. Saturday night, when I was looking for something to watch, I happened to see a motorcycle road race, the F1M MotoGP of Australia live. And I'm sorry, race fans, all I can think is those guys are crazy. I'm just glad they have many corners to keep the speeds as low as possible. But it is still just too scary to watch. Although I did watch the whole thing. Italian Valentino Rossi left the Phillip Island racetrack leading the points, but the GP victory went to first-time race winner Marc Marquez. I heard that the third-place finisher hit a seagull early in the race. I have seen what a seagull did to Earnhardt's Lumina here, Goodwrench Lumina, many years ago at Daytona, but that could not have been good for a motorcycle. Whoa, a seagull and a motorcycle. Again, that stuff is just too scary to watch. Oh. Sunday was the second race in the round of 12 for the drivers still in the chase. And it was at Kansas Speedway. Bad Brad Keselowski was on the pole, but as we discussed, his pit choice was next to last. Beside Bad Brad was Cousin Carl. Keselowski took advantage of his starting position there on the pole and led through much of the beginning of the 267-lap race. On the first pit stop under caution, number 19, Carl Edwards, was able to make the lead, take the lead from that first pit stall that he was able to choose. His teammate, Matt Kenseth, in the number $20 General Toyota, needed a win that day to get back above the cut line for this round, and he led much of the race after the end of the beginning part of the race. Before Matt began to dominate, other chasers like Joker Logano, Happy Harvick, and Bad Brad, even Mr. Ed, all had led some laps. But as the middle part of the race unfolded, the question was, who was going to catch Matt the Brat? Dale Jr. never really had a good day. An early loose wheel got Jr. in a hole from which he was never able to extricate himself, finishing an abysmal 21st, the worst of any chaser that day. Dale Jr. ended the day way under the elimination cutoff, but by the end of the race, Dale Jr. would have some dominating company down there. I would also like to mention Dave's boy, young Ryan Blaney, driving for the Wood Brothers' famed number 21 Ford team. He ran up front much of the day and stayed out of trouble and finished 7th. Very, very good for a pre-rookie. Later in the Kansas 400, chase racers Martin Truex Jr. and Kevin Harvick had equipment violations on pit lane, and with that they had to go do stop-and-go penalties, which left both of them a lap down. Martin Truex was able to lucky dog one of his laps back, but still didn't have a spectacular run. Happy also had problems with a shifter that had vibrated loose, so during the stop-and-go he threw his shifter knob out the window. A late caution led to a restart with 20 laps to go. a heated battle between Matt Kenseth, who was desperate for a win to stay in the chase for the championship, and Joker Logano, who had already punched his ticket to the next round with the victory last week at Charlotte. The Joker seemed to have a faster car, at least on the short runs. And he was at Matt's bumper in a dozen laps after the restart there. Then Matt, who had been caught, began aggressively blocking with his slower Toyota. And as we have learned over the years, those who live by the block get wrecked by the block. I've seen it many times, folks. After a few laps of being blocked by Kenseth, the Joker gave the wobbling Kenseth a bumper because Logano had forgotten there were other ways to win a race. Oh, there would be no payback assessed this week at Talladega. Matt will be way too busy trying to win, but look out at Martinsville and Phoenix. Either could be payback city. Okay, if Kenseth gets eliminated at Talladega, Joker Logano might not make it out of the next round of eliminations there. I'm, just saying. So, Matt Kenseth went from leading a race that might have transferred him to the next round had he won, to a last place finish in the points for the Chasers. I'm sure Dale Jr. enjoys the company down there because misery does love company. So, after Kenseth, the Toad and No-Win Newman are ahead of Jr. and Kenseth, but are still below the cut line. Logano keeps another driver from being locked into the next round, with him stealing that win. So as they stand now, the other drivers to advance would be Little Denny Hamlin, who finished second Sunday, Cousin Carl, Kurt Busch, the old man Jeff Gordon, Happy Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., and Bad Brad Keselowski. The next race in the chase and the final race of this round is at someplace. Let me see. Where could they be next? Where could they be? Someplace next week where they... Not really. I mean, really, folks. I mean, you think I would forget what's coming this weekend? Woo! Let me get a drink off my Sterling Marlin glass. Talladega. This Talladega race, fan, my favorite track. My favorite. And I will be there. At least, that's the plan for both races. Sprint Cup on Sunday and Trucks on Saturday. And, of course, I have somebody to cheer for Saturday. Auburn, Washington's Tyler Tanner will be there driving the number 63 Midler Brothers Motorsports Silverado there at Talladega. I hope to get to talk to him, get to talk to Tyler after the race. That'd be great. I'm sure I'll have a bunch of questions for him, like, what is it like to go that fast? Whoa! Anyway, so that evening is also that evening. Get a little bit too excited. Local stuff. Also that evening is a full slate of racing at Hermiston, Oregon. So they're going to have lots of different classes out there. I think some Hornets, mini stocks, street stocks, late models. They're just going to try to fill up the evening. So if you are over there in that part of the world, please go ahead and try to check them out and see some racing. But I will be at the biggest oval stock car track in these United States of America. And why will I be there? Because it's Talladega. And because I'm Stock Car Scott here in the pits. So, unless I'm having too much fun in Alabama, you should see me here next week to tell you all about Talladega. Woo, I just can't wait. And so check in with me next week. Here, same stock car time and same stock car channel. Thanks for watching, race fans. But now, I gotta go and catch a plane Thanks for watching this week, race fans. Talk to you next week after Talladega.